With the Raptors currently on an extended losing streak, a report has come out that reveals the truth about how Masai Ujiri and members of the front office have felt about how this second half of the season has gone. Because obviously, following the trade deadline, even though Pascal and OG Anunoby were dealt away, the Raptors had hopes of making the play-in tournament, making a push in the playoffs, and surprising some teams in the second half of the season. That's obviously not how it's shaken out. Now, we have actual details in terms of how the front office is kind of feeling about the second half of this year. So we'll discuss that, including an update regarding Ochai Agbaji, his injury, and how the front office is feeling about his progression and development after we're not sure if he's going to return for the rest of the season. And Michael Porter Jr. speaking out on his brother's scandal or reports from Woj about him potentially gambling on games, and then also a former Toronto Raptor absolutely going crazy lately. So lots of stuff to sink our teeth into, but before we dive into that, folks, again, if you want to stay up to date with everything regarding this Toronto Raptors team, make sure to hit that subscribe button because we're going to keep it delivering. The Raptors are winning, the Raptors are losing. We don't care over here on Raptors Digest. We want to keep you up to date on everything surrounding this team. But let's dive in the first topic of discussion because we have some updates regarding Ochai Agbaji, who is a guy that, from the eye test, has impressed me. The three-point shot hasn't really been that consistent, hasn't really been that great, but he has done some things which makes me excited. And apparently the Raptors front office agrees, and now we're getting some assessments, especially regarding his injury, which we'll also give an update on. Basically, this comes from the Toronto Star. It wasn't 2 days ago that a key member of the team hierarchy agreed with the assessment that of all the players at the end of the Raptor season, Ochai Agbaji has been miles the most interesting prospect. It wasn't a stretch to imagine him being a regular rotation player next season. If he spent the summer shooting 1,000 three-pointers a day and giving him all of the minutes and responsibility at the end of this season was crucial. So then to hear about the crash on the court Wednesday, and we could hear the thud at the top of the lower bowl, according to Doug Smith, it was a terrible break. And if he misses even a chunk of the final 9 games, x-rays were negative, but more tests have to be done, and you can't imagine how sore and bruised he'll be at the very least, and that's the lost opportunity that he needs. So basically, what's come out regarding Agbaji's injury, because it did look bad. It looked scary from the broadcast, just looking at it on TV, but the x-rays came back negative, so there is a chance he might not be out for the entire year, but just because, his hip didn't break or something didn't smash in his lower body, still doesn't mean he's immediately going to return. Those deep bone bruises can be serious, can be extremely painful. So it's not a guarantee he'll be back, but it's not a guarantee he'll be out for the entire year. So that's kind of the update. That's the latest we have on Agbaji, but it's interesting that the front office is looking at him as the prospect. That's definitely the most intriguing. And looking at these games, again, he's not a perfect player by any means, by any stretch of the imagination here at this point. Obviously, Grady Dick, you kind of know what you're getting out of Grady Dick. We've had a season to sort of watch him grow and develop, but Agbaji's kind of a little bit unpredictable. Again, he's super athletic. He has the good-looking form, and he's, in theory, a solid three-point shooter, but defensively, he brings a lot. He's had some nasty dunks for this team, in the second half of this year. A guy with a lot of potential. I'm happy with sort of a piece in that Kelly Olynyk trade, even though we get rid of a late first-round pick, I think Agbaji was a really nice pickup for this Toronto Raptors group. So, hopefully he's healthy. It'd be nice to get him, again, some more reps to close out this season. Unfortunate timing for the injury, but the more reps he gets, and then obviously in the offseason, improving that jump shot, he could definitely be a solid piece for this team's future. But that article went on to discuss Masai Ujiri in the front office's real thoughts, true thoughts, on how the second half of the season has performed. As I mentioned at the beginning of this one, right? The Raptors had expectations of being a team that was going to be in the play-in push, was going to be sort of trying to make a run, wasn't trying to lose games. And for all the jokes I make about the tank and stuff like that, again, it's not the Raptors actively trying to lose games. I say that on every video, and people still complain in the comments and stuff about the tanking animation. It's just, we're rooting for this team to lose at this point. We want that draft pick and stuff. Again, we want this team to play well. We want players on the court to look good. We want the product on the court to look good. But those kind of have to rack up if we're going to stay ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies and maximize our chances at getting that draft pick. But how does the front office feel about all this? Because again, this wasn't the plan. It wasn't the intention, even though they dealt away Pascal and OG Anunoby. Well, Doug Smith basically revealed more details onto this. So, and if Darko Rajokovic also mentioned how the Raptors are the best fans in the world. We always want to sort of entertain them, regardless of the fact that the Raptors are out of the playoff picture now at this point. But basically, Rajokovic to mention publicly with very little prompting, well, another death knell for half a dozen players who should be fighting for their very continued employment here or somewhere else. Privately, coaches and management know how deficient this group is. They aren't horribly bothered by it because, as they say, it is what it is, and they aren't sweating it a whole lot. So that's but if they were hoping to find a 12th guy, a 13th guy here to fill in next year's rosters, yet Wednesday games was telling. So that's an interesting sort of quote there. That's an interesting snippet from that article. The Raptors are looking at this team, much like most of the fan base, and is saying, it is what it is. Now, I feel like if the Raptors were fully healthy and we were on this extended losing streak, the Raptors are taking L after L with RJ Barrett, with Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl in the lineup, it wouldn't be that nonchalant attitude of, what can you do? You throw your hands in there and you say you're running a G League lineup out there. What's really going to happen with this, right? They would be a little bit concerned. Not a little bit concerned. Seriously concerned, because the prospects you're trying to build this organization on the back of can't beat the Washington Wizards, but that hasn't really been the case. This team has not been healthy. They're a rebuilding team in the first place, and without our sort of key guys in a roster that's sort of half constructed as is, we're just going to lose games. And even if the Raptors want to make a push, want to make things right this season, they had to have all the players on the court in order for that to even be a possibility. So the fact that basically none of our players are out there on the court that are expected to be rotation pieces or consistent guys, obviously Kelly and Gary Trent Jr. have been out there for most of the lineups, but again, kind of role players on the current roster construction. It's just how it all played out. And the Raptors can't really stress it. Maximize your chances of getting that draft pick and then just see how it goes. We have 9 games left of this. The Raptors don't have a chance of making the play-in or playoffs. We'll see how the rest of the season shake out. See if we can find one of those 12th or 13th men. But also, Michael Porter Jr., brother of Raptors Jontay Porter, has spoken out regarding Jontay Porter's scandal. Now, if you're not familiar, we made 2 videos on it. Basically, Jontay Porter is being investigated by the NBA for some irregular gambling sort of trends that have gone on regarding Jontay Porter's stats, getting the under. As quickly of a summary as possible, Jontay Porter, you could bet on his specific stats, and on 2 nights this season, and some other speculation and stuff, but basically on 2 nights this season where Jontay Porter had some prop bets going, you could bet under his points, his rebounds, assists. A lot of betting action happened on his under, and then Jontay Porter just randomly left the game with illness as well as a minor eye injury. So easy excuses to leave the game. People are speculating into it whether or not. You can check out an old Raptors Digest video if you want to check out the full details on this. But Michael Porter Jr. ended up speaking out on the entire situation. Basically, he defended his brother regarding the gambling investigation, saying, I know what you guys know. I know Jontay loves the game of basketball. He's been really excited to play with the Toronto Raptors, so I know just as much as you guys at this point. I've known my brother my whole life. I know what type of dude he is. I know he's excited to play basketball, and I highly doubt that he would do anything to put that in jeopardy. So, again, your brother coming out, he's going to support you regardless, but it is still that sort of response is someone that seems a bit genuine. Again, he's probably going to support him regardless either which way, but someone coming out to support Jontay saying there's probably a misunderstanding. It doesn't seem like it's in the character, and that's what Raptors beat reporters who have been around the team, who've been in the locker room and stuff, have said about Jontay. He's a high character, high quality dude. So the fact that this sort of came out was a big shock to a lot of people, and his brother's kind of saying similar things. I'm hoping it's something that is a misunderstanding or weird bots ended up predicting this. I don't know how this gambling space sort of works. So I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't come back, or there's no proof, there's no evidence in terms of how things are going on, but definitely a serious situation. But that's what MPJ basically said on it regarding his brother. But the final thing we're discussing in this video is a former Toronto Raptor going absolutely nuclear at this point. And I've been given little updates on him over the past month or so because Dalano Banton has absolutely taken his game to another level after getting traded to the Portland Trailblazers, and he's a guy that I was extremely high on, for this Raptors team. Again, given how much we're tanking this year, it would be cool to see him sort of do this on this roster, see that potential get fulfilled. Now, he left the team. There was some speculation, some talk that he wasn't happy being at home, just solely off the fact, too many distractions and everything that's going on. But Dalano Banton has been on an absolute another level lately. Basically, in his last 16 games for the Portland Trailblazers, is averaging 18 points per night, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, on close to a steal, close to a block per night. Pretty efficient shooting. He's also shooting 37% from behind the three-point line. We know the athleticism. We know the physical intangibles he brings. Again, the assist-to-turnover ratio is not good. The big gripe on Dalano Banton is he turns over the ball a lot. And even though he's a good facilitator, 3.4 assists, 2.3 steal, 2.3 turnovers is a bit tough. But again, the rest of that stat line for a young player working at the Kings, finally getting a big opportunity in the NBA. Sucks to see it's not with the Toronto Raptors, but always rooting for the Canadians, the former Raptors, no matter where they go. So, folks, you guys are best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Again, wild season so far. We'll see how it shakes out. You guys are best. I'm signing out. Cheers.